Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I'm going to share with you a longer clip between myself and Isaac, who's one of our time and attention guild leaders. And we're going to talk about his progression and redoubling down of investment within Splinterlands. We're going to talk about card prices, Chaos Legion packs. We're going to talk about a battle pass within Splinterlands and what that would do for the new player experience. There's a lot of things in this conversation. It's a longer video. It's probably an hour in length, but I think you're going to enjoy this one. And if you want to be alive for these conversations, come to Splinterlands TV on Twitch and make sure you check me out on Friday nights, 8 to 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have an amazing day. God bless. So before we went live here, guys, Isaac and I were chatting about different stuff. I'd say like once every month we used to talk like this, but lately, like with Christmas and my new church job and stuff, and even preparation for that, we haven't spoken recently. But that's why Isaac decided to come on tonight so we could catch up and talk Splinterlands. So if you guys in the chat have any questions or you want to talk about anything in particular, please get in there. But Isaac was telling me that this week, last week, very recently, made the choice to kind of financially bite the bullet and get that MAV status. And I wanted to hear more about, like, I guess, what was your journey on that? Because that's been a while in the making. And, there's been some, frustrations over some of the changes that they've made over the game over the last year. Like, talk to me about that journey and even like, I guess, how you pulled the trigger more recently.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I was on the fence for a while. There was one point where I was just not sure about the game. So I unstaked all my SPS. I had all my cards unlocked, ready to just liquidate and go, right? I was just like, if I'm not going to support, if I can't get behind it, I don't want to, be here and in the game. But, I actually had a talk with, I got a talk with Nate, right? And I was just talking to him about some of the ideas and some of the things I like, having worked in game design. And I actually, the decision they made that made me say, okay, they're thinking long term, was when they cut their team. Like, that's the one that really turned it for me. Having worked in the industry before, said, okay, they're focused now. They've focused down. They know what they have to do to survive this winter. And I think they'll make it. I think if they're willing to make hard decisions like that, they're going to make it. What got to me was a lot of the things they were just throwing out there, like as proposal this, proposal that. And it's just like, it felt like, okay, it's going to be hard for a lot of smaller people to have a lot of input because they're just throwing all these huge changes. I didn't like some of the things still, I'm not the biggest fan of, but like, even like the reward structure change, I agreed there needed to be reward structure change. And when I went back, like, I was so in the moment, and it's something I think all of us need to do sometimes. I was so in the moment of and so engaged in the game.
Yeah.
In my head, like, this 10% difference in reward split was like end all be all, right? Like, I just was like, having worked in game design and understanding like the bell curve, I just like, to me, like, this 10% of the rewards needed to be divided differently. I was in agreement on 90% of the reward structure. I just thought 10% should be different, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I stepped back, I was like, yes, I think my way would be better, but their way, the changes they made are the same changes I would make with just a slightly different number. So I started playing again. I restaked my SPS. I've just been doing the same thing I've done before. Is I take the money I was putting in Hearthstone every month and I buy some packs. I buy some cards that, I've grown from playing in just silver and bronze when I started a little over a year ago now to playing gold and diamond now, right? And I'm just buying cards, investing, stocking up. I've been buying packs, flipping cards. I get cards and I buy more packs. And like, yes, I've bought 1,000 packs now, but I didn't spend 1,000. I just didn't sit down and buy 1,000 packs. I got cards, I got rewards, and I kept cycling that into more. But what really pushed that last 100 was that stupid bear promo. When that bear promo come out, I was selling those bears for 50 cents each.
Yeah.
So I bought a bunch of packs, arbitraged them, plus the bears, and bought more packs. And I did that for a day. And and went through those last 100 packs,
Yeah.
just selling bears and golden bears. I sold a golden bear for $12 that first day. I
Nice.
don't know who was buying golden bears at that price, but like I was just 3 packs. Like it was just ridiculous, right? And like now the bears are down to like 16 cents, so you probably can't pull it off. But you know,
That's cool.
uh,
What's the bear called again?
the bear. That's all he should be called. I don't know what his name,
I
but
know
he's
people. I know people call him Salty Bear, but Artemis the bear. Okay, look at this: $3.20 for the golds, and
yeah.
15 cents roughly for the regular foils. I was saying 10 cents made sense to me. 20 cents is like a high price in my mind for the regular foil, and 10 cents is like a good price for the regular foil in my mind. Um,
Yeah.
what have you seen for the regular foil Artemis? Like, what was the range there that you've noticed, or did
Yeah,
you?
I mean now, like you're seeing 16, 20 cents, sometimes 10 cents. I've seen them low, but like that first day, people were willing to give like everything for them. I was shocked.
That's the thing,
Um,
hey? There's always somebody who wants to just kick in the door and just, I want what I want and I will have it right now. I cannot be patient. Give it to me, give me. And like
yeah,
12 bucks per bear, dude. Like they literally, these were free cars. Well, not free, but they were an addition, unpaid addition for the pack you're probably already interested in buying.
I enjoyed it. It was good. Like getting that extra 50 cents per bear really allowed me to just keep buying more backs, and then I hit gold status. Although there's something weird with the Mav bot, like telling you when you bought enough backs, because it kept missing a couple. So I think I ended up buying a couple extra to make it actually say I had hit it. But yeah,
Interesting. Look, I'm just watching a top match from somebody recently, and they had a Rooney out there. Get their self
yeah,
res on the Rooney. But the Lorna Shine, man, Lorna Shine is just too much. You know what might be really powerful as I watch this? Watching the rule set that has every monster has holy protection or whatever it's called, and then you bring your Rooney, which has the self resurrect, which has armor, which has hit points, which has self resurrect. Theoretically, you're going to get that holy protect, then the armor, then the hit point, then the death, which leads to a resurrect, which leads to the holy shield, armor, hit point. That could be 7, 8 hits before the thing goes down, and it's like a five. It's a 5 hit point creature, but just in that combination, I think that's probably a wise moment
how
for it.
yeah. How are you feeling about Lux Vega and the Roonies?
Um, Lux Vega. I mean, look, honestly, Lux Vega's paying too much on the rental for me to be using her right now. I'm currently renting out my cards for, well, today 18,000, which is actually quite a bit lower than like 2 days ago, which was closer to 30,000. And I'm gonna say on average is 25 DEC a day, 25,000 DEC a day, which is in the neighborhood of $600 a month. And part of that picture is my Lux. I only have one Lux now. I did sell one of my Luxes to get more packs from the recent Christmas sale. But I mean, look, I'm getting 329 DEC for Lux, so I'm not currently playing with my Lux, except for when my guild brawls kick off, and we're now queuing up for another guild brawl. So I'll be locked and loaded for that when that happens. But we're 15 hours away from the commission of that, and then it's a 48-hour window usually, I think. So we're somewhere in the neighborhood of like 2 full days away from me being guilding up.
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't know. I like her. It's certainly cool to have that sort of opportunity to try to just bring that Kelia type package to other splinters. I like that. But I wouldn't say that I'm leaning on her more than I am, other summoners that I'm renting. I think she just kind of fits in there. I'd rather have dragons, let's put it that way, because dragons offer a lot more monster card choices. What about you?
I worry that is a small concern. I worry about cards like Lux Vega and Rooney's, cards that are locked behind such huge costs. right? Huge investment, right?
Mm.
And then they're so strong. Are they going to warp the upper echelons of the game long, long term, such that like this Hearthstone problem right now, right? So if you try to play Wild, um, the game ends almost immediately in like 2, 3 turns, right? Because all of the decks are ridiculously fast. They're insanely powerful. Just because of we've made so many cards over long term
Mm.
that I worry that Wild is going to eventually be harder to deal with because you're just going to have these hugely powerful cards. I mean, they can deal with it in the way they make cards, and making cards that are stronger and do other things. But it is a little concerning. But I haven't seen Lux Vega be anything too ridiculous, and I haven't had much interaction with Rooney's either.
Mm.
So, I
Yeah.
mean,
On the Rooney side, I am less. I haven't played with my Rooney yet. I've just watched battles with the Rooney, and we'll watch some more here because I haven't staked my own Rooney. I do have a Rooney, but I haven't staked it yet. And I did see one amazing battle. You know what? I'm going to show it because not everybody will have seen this. Gold Matters on Twitter is amazing. And he's like a staple on the Splinterlands, in the ecosystem. The best, he goes, this is the best battle in the history of Rooney. Wait for it. Let's watch it. Oh. So where's the first? I can't. Rooney's down here. And what do we got before we go any further? We got Noxious Fumes. Theoretically, everything, including the Rooney, should die from that. But then the self-res should eliminate the poison on the res. Got a lot of damage output over here. Plus a resurrect. Yeah, I guess if I was looking at this now and just trying to see without knowing that the Rooney happens to be pivotal, I would say that oh, there's no heal. Oh wow. Let's just watch. This is a great battle. I don't know who saw this, who didn't. There's no triage, there's no heal. Man, Life Leech is one of the things I like to bring when it's a Noxious Fumes no heal. Because, well, even just when it's a no heal. But maybe that wasn't an option because I see they both chuck Dragon. Dragon, there's not a lot of Life Leech on the teams that are out there, maybe. But look, it's starting to look pretty thin. Feels like top is going to win. But then that was a double kill, and now suddenly it feels like it's game over for downtown. The poison.
No.
Check this out. Poison kills everybody. And the Rooney for the win.
Rooney resurrects for the win.
Yeah.
Oh my. But it's like cards like that summoner, right? Like,
yeah.
Is that summoner fair? No, but it's rare. So it's fine.
We were kind of talking about Lux and Rooney.
Yeah,
I like them, but I mean, right now I'm just not using either at this very juncture. What about you?
I mean, I don't have either.
I thought you had Lux. No, okay.
No, I didn't get a Lux. No, I didn't go any of those. That would be my only concern with either of them, right? Are these cards that are going to hamper our ability to get more players in the game because they're just so expensive? Or are they going to bring players to the game because they see assets that are so expensive, right? You never really know which way that's going to go. Sometimes that's an attractant when people see there's high dollar value stuff out there. So I don't think either of them are horrible, though. I wouldn't complain too much about it. They're not bonkers, but they're definitely strong. But
yeah, definitely, I think so too. Something you said makes me think about a topic that's worth discussing. You're talking about the power of them and also the price of them, and saying, asking, is it going to push away kind of new signups because they can't afford some of the talent, some of these powerful cards? I think that's going to always be true of a game like this, where old cards continue to have utility. So you might argue you want them, but they're almost necessarily going to be more expensive. And in some situations, like Domicile from the chat goes, the unfair summoner I wish I had was Arius the Archmage. And dude, that card is absolutely bonkers. And it's like the rental, the rental is crazy, man. The rental, like I the other couple days ago, I was renting all my cards, and that card is applicable to my brawl. And I tried to rent it. It was renting for 30,000 DEC a day. So of course, needless to say, I did not rent it. But I guess my point is, there are cards that are really, really crazy priced and they're amazing, and yet you can have success and carve your own niche without some of these amazing cards playing. You and I have spoke so much about how Quicks, and I think you just picked up a Quicks, a gold foil, didn't you, or something like this?
Yeah. So I had Sun Gazer, which was one of my initial, I think this card's really good. But as you advanced, if for those of you who haven't advanced out of silver yet, as you advance, you learn that of the 3 types of damage, melee is really often the lowest on the tier. Like, right? Because unless your creature has sneak or opportunity or reach, only your front melee creature is attacking. Like, you have to have a special ability to activate melee from another position.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, having Sun Gazer, I actually in the long run realized Sun Gazer is great, 3 mana, great. But I had a Sun Gazer at level 2 and I had a Quicks at level 2. So I sold my Sun Gazer to get my Quicks to level 3 now that I'm playing in gold and low level diamond at the end of the season. So
Cool.
I'm trying to I'm in that now. All my cards are goldish level, and now I'm trying to push my summoners into that high gold, low diamond level, so that I can then start. Like, it's just a cycle, right? Of get my summoners up, get my cards up, then get my summoners up a little bit more, and now get my cards up a little bit more. But as you go up, you can't have all the summoners, right?
That's it, right?
I can't afford it.
And
I can't afford it.
Not only can you not have them all, it's actually really foolish to try and have. Sometimes you have, like you just say, like even if Camilla was really, really powerful, like I recently did with Kitty, or some people will do with Yodin or with Milo or things like this. Like, these cards are still really powerful, and we like them a lot, and they win often. But sometimes you recognize you can't have them all, and like if you and certain assets are going to wildly appreciate disproportionately to other assets. And so if you recognize those moments, you can move from one crypto that is pumped 50% into another that hasn't, and then that one can move 50%, and then you've magnified your first magnification, if you know what I mean. Like, you multiply your multiplier, and so there are moments where sort of moving around in the summoner is going to give you that chance. And in the past, I've done that. I used to have all the beta summoners. I sold them all at like level 4 or 6 for max level 8s for all of the untamed summoners. And they allowed me to play. They're not as good, but they allowed me to play the game. And at a relatively high level, I was getting into champion. And so, yeah, I think as much as Lux is like quite good, and also that neutrality is really special, and it is desirable for a lot of reasons. Same with Rooney, probably, although I have less experience with that. I think when these things happen and new people can't get them, there's this frustration that happens. So your point is right around that. Like, that will push someone away, or like they'll say, I can't get it. I'm frustrated, I'm going to leave. But I think those who stick through those moments are going to, in like a year or 2 or 3, recognize that they've been accumulating assets that are going to share that same story, including reward cards that are currently being given for free, that are currently, really approaching extinction.
Yeah. So for people who, it's hard to think about it, but you have to think about it from a new player's perspective. And I think the easiest way to try to explain it to existing players is, why do players now? My background, I work in professional corporate bot development. I develop bots for corporations that need to do complex tasks. But, there's this sense that people have of when they play a bot, or when a bot takes your job, or when something happens and it's an automation, that's not fair, right?
Hmm.
So it's the same thing these new players are going to experience when they start up, they start playing the game, they get out of bronze, they're in silver, it's the beginning of the season, and like a lot of people probably felt this when Yoden was broken. Well, I didn't lose that game because I made a mistake. I lost it because they had a Yoda, or they had a Kitty, or they had Lamacron, right? Like there for a long time, these combos were hard to beat at low levels, and so people felt like it was unfair.
Hmm.
Like we might know a counter for Lamacron, but like one, you have to know your opponent's about to play Lamacron. Two, you have to play a counter. Like there's things to that, right? So I think anything that makes the player feel like they lost and they had no
Hmm.
control in it. That's why
Yeah.
I worry about these cards being too powerful and too expensive. If they were powerful but readily available, that's a little less bad than ridiculously powerful and only if you spent $10,000 can you have one, right? Like that's not going to feel great. But I don't know that that's going to be a long term issue as we will have modern and wild, and most of the new players you can imagine are going to be a modern, where you're not going to that's going to rotate out. These more powerful cards are going to keep rotating, so long term it won't be a problem.
Hmm.
I I think we're going to see some good improvements from just some conversations I've had with people about where they're going, getting a good new player experience, like a good landing zone in place for the game. Um, so I think the game's going. I think this game's going to explode again.
Hmm.
I believe that, or I wouldn't be putting money into it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd keep playing it because I enjoy playing it, but I wouldn't be continuing to buy and buy. But I think right now it's going to be one of those times in a year or 2 years you're going to say, "Man, it's not fair that these people have all these cards."
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
what?
for sure. I
How come
mean,
everybody? How
look,
come these people have all these max level Pelacor bandits and Pelacor mercenaries?
yeah.
You know, I don't want to spend $200 for a Pelacor max level Pelacor.
Yeah.
You know, but right now you can get one for what, $5
I
or
mean,
something.
you can get them for you can
So
literally get them for free right now. And I think the
mm,
thing is, even if there's a lot of talk around maybe there's too many of these, and how's land going to use up the cards, because maybe it's gonna use them all up, and or maybe it won't. So there's still a lot of questions around like the supply of these cards, but we're at 93% on some of these commons. We're at 65% on some of these legendaries. These cards are not long for the world, and many of them are excellent. And you can earn them for free today, but in the very near future, you're gonna have to pay for it. And even if you think that they are going to appreciate in a less dramatic fashion than some of the previous reward cards, which might be a fair conclusion because of the number of print rate on these things. But even if that's true, there's not going to be no appreciation. Don't think that for a second. Like, is it going to be double, triple? It's going to be something. It's going to be some multiplier of a card that's already, like, I mean, literally free if you just play the game. And so, yeah, I mean, players that are playing right now and who have been playing for the last year and who have been accumulating Pelacor Bandits and Wavesmiths and Oceanuses and in some situations maybe buying them off a market, and at one point paying too much, I think are going to still at one point be glad that they accumulated those, in my opinion. And then I think it's the same thing with those summoners like we talked about. And somebody in the chat said something about how they have their old summoners too. They make a trade. And I mean, I think that'll happen with some of these cards. You'll say like, yeah, Jin Oceanus is quite good, and the price has appreciated. It's $1.50 now, and like maybe it's $20 in the future or something like this. I think it'll be more like a long term, but it gets some sort of appreciation, and then you can move in. You could sell that, which you've accumulated during time and attention at this moment in your life, and move it into whether it's rebellion packs or like the next thing after that or whatever. And so this is the thing. And somebody asked, because this all ties kind of to cards and to the reward structures, the game. And Blue Devil said, Will people come to the game just for the sake of the game, though, as reward cards are one of the core earning components and play to earn is the main attraction at this time? Not sure the answer, but believe it's important to the soul-bound debate. And this is, I think, pretty timely because I just saw Tales from the Cryptmancer did a video talking about how he's pretty convinced that reward cards are going to become soul-bound. And he didn't say like some of them. He actually just said he just said they need to become soulbound, and that if that's so, if that's how the team feels, and I think he makes an interesting argument in that video, is a good one from earlier today, guys. Then that translates to radical reward changes in this game from a short-term perspective. And probably from a long-term perspective, because you could imagine short-term, you have less liquid assets from playing the game. That's probably bad for new players. But long-term, you have less liquid assets to the game, which is actually financially a good thing for all players. It's a really complicated thing, and I don't know which way I lean or which way will end up being best. But I think having reward cards that are soul-bound could be really powerfully rewarding to those of us taking the game seriously, in that you will accumulate power that no one else has. I mean, collection power. I also mean card power, like utility. I mean, different ways to win, different cards to play. And I think I'm kind of starting to think maybe that might be a good way for the game to go. But I'd love to hear your thoughts there, Isaac.
Yeah, so you're exactly on something. And this pivots around the entire conversation I had with a couple members of the team. We have to get to the point in Splinterlands, right, where we are creating value. And what value do we need to be creating? That is called fun. When you talk about game development, the value we're trying to deliver to the players should not be economic value. Now, I know a lot of the people on the early team, all in the crypto space, not a lot of game development experience. But we have to be delivering fun. If you think about AAA games, let's take Hearthstone, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, any of these games, where you will see bots in these games mining and farming and people selling gold and selling in-game items. These items have no real world value. But people will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on these games. And we've seen it, like with Diablo. There was a guy, Diablo came out, Blizzard put it out, right? There was a guy who spent $100K in the in-game store, right?
Wow.
So if people are willing to spend that much money on a game with no actual asset ownership, if we can create a game that's fun, the asset ownership becomes a secondary thing, and it's really cool, and the economy can drive itself as people want the stuff and people are driving for it, but people won't think twice about spending the money on the items, right? People spend tons of money on Magic the Gathering, and Magic the Gathering actually has become my #1 sales pitch to explain to people NFTs, which is like Magic the Gathering was just NFTs on paper. You got a copy of a card, it was a limited print run, you owned it and you could execute it and you could trade it and sell it as you wish, right? And that Magic the Gathering were NFTs before NFTs, we had electronic ones, we had paper ones, but like creating game, and that's a good model for us to follow, by the way. Like when we're talking about economy, like the Magic the Gathering model is a really good model for the game to look at. But as we create fun, people will spend money. Like I think I looked it up for somebody. Hearthstone's, we don't know their entire assets, but we know Google and Apple report sales from the app stores, right? Just in the 2 app stores, Hearthstone did 165 million last year.
Wow.
And digital assets for a card game or for their mini games that exist, right? Their battlegrounds and different stuff like that. Their auto battler, $165 million in cosmetics and cards that those people will never own again. I have a huge Hearthstone collection. I played professionally, but those cards aren't worth anything. I've spent thousands of dollars. They're not worth anything. So if we can get to the point of creating fun and just focusing on this as a game, yes, everything's an NFT, everything's a cryptocurrency, but you develop it and focus on it as games. So like you're saying, soulbound cards, like the Gladius cards we get for brawls.
Mhm.
Like if they just you created a new set of reward cards and they're just like Gladius cards, right? You can disenchant, even let people disenchant them for a base amount of DEC if they
Yeah.
want, right?
And make
Sure.
that and one quick thing there, that DEC is burnt for good. Like that'll be another burn mechanic.
Yeah, like that's fine, right? Like you just, if you want to let them burn cards for burn the new reward cards for a small amount of DC, sure, that's fine, because eventually you might say people get a max level copy of a card, right? Now they may just want to burn some. But I think we need one of the other things I've talked about is the number one thing we need to get new players into the game is called a base set, like Magic and them have. We need something that's like a tutorial using the match mode where you go through 6 battles with each faction.
Yep.
And you should, by the end of that, you should end up with a level 3 summoner, right? Like that's probably a 4-mana summoner that has no abilities.
Mm-hmm.
All the cards should be subpar cards, but they should exist, and they should explain how armor works, what a ranged attack is, what a magic attack is, what a melee attack is, how armor works, how tank heal works. Like the core basic abilities of the game should be explained in a few tutorials. Person should, when they get done, have about 30 to 40 cards that are just basic, common, very compared to any of the set cards. They should probably be one tier below that, but they should have all these cards, and they should be something like the Gladius set where they're soulbound, so they count.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest gatekeepers we have is I jump into the game and I see this big cool dragon, and I want to buy this legendary and level it up to level 2 legendary or something. Well, I can't do that till I go get a summoner. Then I have to pick which summoner. Then I have to, like, we have so many gates and gatekeeping. We need to kind of brush some of those away.
Yeah.
But I think the team understands that. They understand what they need. They understand they need a new player landing zone that's going to get people from in the door to understanding how to combine cards, understanding, how to battle and how to get stronger.
To take away some of the complication and the challenge of learning a whole new game. And some of what you described would be like almost breadcrumbs along the way. Like you described some cards, some monsters, some summoners that would be soulbound, that would be rewarded to you, that would be showing you they have to be not overpowered. They have to be basic. They have to be like underpowered. They have to be. That's so important. Otherwise it's just otherwise it becomes mandatory to carry to pay to have the badge or whatever it's called. I forget what season pass. And you want it to be optional, but like optional in a way that would really help you for a lot of reasons in a lot of ways. And I think cards that then can help you win, even if they are underpowered, are still, like we said about 30 minutes ago, sometimes underpowered cards are fine. And they can help, they give you more options to play with. And then I think before we went live, we talked about something that I think we need to touch on here, which is the idea of removing, you're talking about how you want to make it easier. You want to make it more inviting for new people. One of the ways we do that is by not just giving them some assets that they can use that will help them, but also by just generally removing barriers. We talked about before we went live how plots of land are on Hive Engine right now selling for $137, and plots of land in the Splinterlands non-card market are selling for $30 more. It's like a 20% like, hang on, I want to see the actual price right now. My ass. How do I do this again? New asset. See plots. Where are they? Plot of land, $167 on the non-card market because of the convenience, guys. Like you can come in here right now and press buy, and it's going to accept DEC, and that's done. That's your plot of land. Whereas if you're a new player who knows nothing about cryptocurrency, but just came to this because you liked Magic, and maybe you had somebody who said Splinterlands is kind of cool, you give it a shot, and you don't understand private keys, or like, you mean I got to come into my Splinterlands window and like send my DC to some website that I've never heard of and kind of looks a little bit budget. And then figure out how to trade that for Hive, and then use that Hive to buy a plot, and then remove the plot from the exchange. All of that is super complicated. And I think you can, like, our point is proven in a sense by the price differential on the Hive Engine marketplace versus the Splinterlands non-card market. You see like a 25% differential, something like that. And that tells me that when there are fewer barriers in the way, people will pay a premium for that. And that argument should translate to season passes if they offer certain card utility that is soul bound, that makes it easier for me to play. Maybe it gives me some sort of segue into some tournaments that happen that are specifically, season pass tournaments. Maybe I don't need the SPS qualifier. I have a season pass. I'm allowed to enter that. These are different things that are going to expose people to the game and get them to enjoy and earn without so many of those barriers. And that's why KYC is going to be so important for it, because they need to be able to like know that because you are going to be spending money through credit cards or whatever to do that. So I think KYC would be necessary for that. But man, I think it's a real winner.
Yeah, that's the next thing they have to tackle after they tackle new player experiences. Interactive, like you're saying, like they need to, like in order to increase fun, we gotta like find ways that people can increase their interaction time with the game. Like, and I think the only thing that we have right now to do that is going to be tournaments, right? So we need to find a way, because the game can only afford to give out so much rewards, right? And that's what your ECR is. Like, you can earn X amount of rewards. Like, that's what the game can afford to give out in its model. But if we can get ways that players are investing in, and that money is immediately going back out as rewards for playing, like in tournaments or things like that, then we can increase people's interaction with the game and have people who just spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day playing Splinterlands on one account, right? And that'll be really good. Another thing I think we have to do in order to help players, and it's a tool I've talked to a few people about, and I don't know where we're at on building it, but you know how bots work, right? The bots will scan the rule set, and they will tell you, and they'll decide what the best deck is to play in that rule set, and they'll pick that deck, right? So we've talked about having an interactive UI tool for players that when the match starts, it'll tell you, one, based on your collection, here's some suggested decks you may want to consider, and here's what the most popular decks are that you're likely to play against, right? Just to help people. And we have tools like this in Hearthstone that professional players use that will remind, deck trackers and things like that, that remind them what cards are left in their deck, and just to keep things at, we call it, removing mental load, right? So something like that might be really helpful for players to have at these levels, silver or bronze levels, because if you implement that, anybody should be able to destroy the bots, right? The bot's going to pick number one deck. You just play something that beats number one deck, and you're good, but you can see what the most likely thing is going to be played. So something like that could be a tool where a player can now have that same information that a bot's using, and kind of level that playing field, where a bot can quickly query a database and say, here's the best decks. Let's just, instead of feeding that to a robot to play it, let's pop it up to the player and say, do you want to look at the most popular decks for this match?
The thing is, I think that's not a bad idea. But I think the funny thing is, I don't really believe that the bots find the best decks. I actually think the bots are so prolific that they they essentially establish what is the most played deck by following their own lead. I actually think, I have no way to prove this, but I'm pretty convinced that they find like some success, and then they replicate their own success. And as a result, they end up making, it's this large wave where you'll see a certain type of play style unfold, and it becomes more and more popularized because it's been played so much by the bot army themselves, which then makes the number of games that it's experienced through higher, which makes them rely more on it. And it isn't necessarily that it's better. In fact, there are times where objectively I will equip a bot. I've used a variety of bots now. I'm not botting currently, but like I've tried a variety of them now. And I can equip you with all of the cards, some of the best cards in the game, and they are objectively better than what you put on what they pick. But they just go for what they know, and they will skip like an Archmage Arius because they just don't have the familiarity with how to occupy that space or utilize that technique.
Yeah, so that's what I try to explain people about the bots in Splinterlands, right? The bots in Splinterlands are not involving any advanced logic. They are literally looking at a database of what they've pulled down of matches, and they are finding the deck that has been played the most, which means they are subject to card popularity. So if you're playing a fringe card that isn't familiar, the bot doesn't know how to deal with it. If you're playing, or the bot doesn't know how to use it either, so the bot's not going to implement an Archmage because there's not enough games played with it.
Which is where we always have to find our niche, like because they are always going to get, people have said like they're going to get so good. They are going to get better and better and better. But we need to keep evolving too. And the game is always changing. And so if there was like a stagnant, like the end, like chess is essentially done, you can imagine new steps, I guess, that you would play. But there isn't a new card that's coming, a new piece that's coming to the chessboard. The chessboard isn't changing. There's not like new rule sets for this chess game or that chess game. It's like you start first or I start first. And all of that lends itself to like a bot being really powerful. Whereas a game like Splinterlands, in my opinion, with its constant evolution, is like, and I'd love to hear your thoughts here, Isaac, because you that's kind of your background, but it strikes me that this is different. Not saying they can't be successful here. They obviously can, but there is a degree of certain power and of creativity that I'm not convinced that they can match us in that realm. And maybe one day they will with general intelligence or whatever like this, but I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah. So I've talked about this, right? So Splinterlands is very well balanced. I do not know of a team that is just so good on all the rule sets that you just can spam it and win most of them. And even if that did exist, I don't know of a team that doesn't have some way you can beat it. There is, and this is where I think people overestimate buff cards and underestimate counter cards like Quicks and Sungazer and Thaddeus. I think the counter cards, that's the way I play the game. I use the counter cards way more heavily than I use the buff increase my team strategy cards. And when we use those cards and we're playing with some game theory involved of understanding my opponent is good. I'm in gold, I'm in diamond. My opponent is most likely going to play this strategy or some variant of this strategy.
Yeah.
That's when these counter strategies, they hit so hard in this game. That's why I don't mind bots. Yeah. I had a streak the other day where I know I was playing bots and I won 14 games in a row in Gold 1. Like, it was just stupid.
That's a heck of a winning streak.
It was just a bot, and the bot would play Magic, and the bot would play Magic, and then the bot would play, and it was just like you could counter them so heavily. And I think that's learning to play the counter strategies.
Yeah.
Is definitely the way
it's also the way to do it cost effectively. Because it's one thing to throw money at this game and you're going to come away with all the overpowered, all the meta cards. It's another thing to think through logically how you could frugally, like it's the, what's that You remember the Athletic A or the Oakland A's and the
Moneyball. Yeah,
Moneyball. It's like Moneyball. Like you're just finding ways to Moneyball your victories.
yeah. Like the summoners. My biggest summoners are Thaddeus and Quicks and Grandmaster Wraith. Because Void Armor is really good. And
Yeah,
I
yeah. Wraith
it,
is legit. Wraith is
like
so cheap, man. Wraith, like I mean, for what he is, he's
yeah,
so cheap.
and like if you're trying to get into this game and you want to be here when things explode, like getting your summoners right now, getting your SPS bag right now,
I know,
like,
dude.
that's well, see, I have not had the best of luck. I have gotten exactly what I was guaranteed for every summoner since Jack, like the last 3 summoners.
We're below 3 cents, guys, on the SPS. There was a question from Chuni earlier talking about tokenomics and like, or just talking like about the economy, the price of assets and stuff. And man, there's so much going on here. I see SPS below 3 cents. DEC has fallen from its 800 Splintoshis down below 700 right now. Man, but you're right, dude. Like you said, like now, if you believe, now is a time where not only cards, some of these amazing summoners are really inexpensive. Yes, this is definitely inexpensive. And then not even those ones too, but like I've talked about it before. A lot of these cards are like pretty well at their burn rate. Like if you are bringing in fresh money to buy cards right now, one of the most safe bets you could do in this game, if this game is fun and has a future, is those reward cards that are selling below their burn rate. So fresh money coming into the game, buying DC, that DC then turns into these cards, and you will literally have, you can, you're because of the exchange rate on the DC, you could make money on this trade. Like I'd have to show an example here, but yeah, fresh money, getting a discount on DEC, buying cards that are being sold at burn value, and theoretically you could burn them, and you would be at a profit because of the exchange rate on DEC. But
Have you looked at the Chaos Summoners lately?
No.
Yeah. After this game, go look at the Chaos Summoner prices.
Let's actually just look now because the correlate connected thought there. Let's see here.
On the rares, yeah.
Reg, look at these prices.
So this is why I'm hitting my summoners up. Look at these prices under, like, other than Killia, $1. You're telling me these summoners are worth $1? They got to be worth more than $1. 81 cents for Grandmaster General Sloat.
So you're talking
that card
like
is,
$80 for maybe $90 for a max level summoner, for a diamond level, champion level. I know it's Sloan and people, but I mean, man,
know. What are you talking about? It's slow. So white ranged is so good.
Yeah.
Especially with new stun guys, double attack.
Yeah.
I mean, return fires the not that common.
And the price matters. Like, you forget about whether it's range or whether it's your favorite ability or whether its win rate is really high. All of that goes out the window when you're talking about like 1/5 the cost of like the next closest summoner, right? Like you can equip yourself like for $80 you can have a max summoner, or for, I could probably double that. Like, let's see, $130. So for another $55 you could have a Mother Kala, or for $80 you could have a General Sloan. But with $55, what could you do, right? Like you could comp. Yeah.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. And not even that one though, but like there's the other ones are other than life. I mean, you're telling me Thaddeus is $1 for 99 cents? Like that card, it might be one of the better. I mean, we haven't seen the Death Legendary yet, but like,
yeah, I like it. I like it for the minus. I like doing the redemption play with this guy. You get, and magic nerf is always, I'm always appreciative of a good magic nerf.
And Tarsa +1 health, +1 melee, like for fire, that's good. And +1 magic for $1.
I know.
I mean, those 4 summoners are so undervalued.
Yeah, and there's just no way that these aren't more money in the future. They period full stop are going to be, $10, 10 times more or something like that each, maybe more. But short term, do they continue falling because we still have 3 million or whatever packs, and people are rapidly trying to, especially right now, trying to enjoy this Christmas sale on Chaos Legion packs. So like, can't you see how those prices not only don't go up in the short term, maybe they go down over the next 2 weeks because more and more Chaos Legion packs are being bought and opened because the Christmas sale is still on.
Yeah, but I guess my thing about that is we've got that burn going on now, and you got to imagine. That's why I'm going, like I was talking about my strategy. Like I just bought 2 Untamed packs, but that was just being silly. My strategy from this point on is to buy just from the market. I'm just going to buy the Untamed pack, the Chaos packs from the non-card market. They're just so cheap that $1.41. I'm just going to stock them up until the packs are all gone.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we know the packs are going away now. It's not a matter of when. We're at 11.38, so we've got is it 50 million packs? So we have total. They're doing right. So we've got 3.5 million, 3.6 left. And 25,000 a day. Gone.
And we sold like 600,000 in the last week or so. And actually someone in the chat is saying, who was it? Blue Devil says the market should drop after the 20th when Neil's bulk buy goes through. Neil McSpadden is like a big Splinterlands guy and he's doing a bulk buy. I don't know what sort of value they put together. If anybody knows how much value they've accumulated, Blue Devil says not sure, maybe half of YGG, so around 100,000 packs. Steve would know. Stever is here, so Steve, if you have any sense of that, love to hear.
I mean, 144 days is the maximum time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's there's packs and chests that are going out. I think they said that averages 30K a month. So 1,000 packs a day go out in treasure chests and into season chests. So that's basically 26,000 a day. And then purchases. We got 26 days left of Winterfest. I imagine the pack sales will stay decent for that. So, I mean, other bulk buys, yeah, I think. And when you get into those last couple million packs, you may see a little bit of a rush to get them before they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, so what, 4 months? So probably by the end of March, we're out of packs.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that I think they actually said by the end of March for sure, because even if there were more left over, they're going to burn 25,000 packs up until I think it was March 31st. And then they're just going to burn the rest if there's any left.
Yeah. So we know the packs are gone. So now to me, it becomes about huddling as many packs as you can for when they're gone. And you probably have to wait 6 months or so after the packs sell out, but then they're going to be $6 a pack, $7 a pack, because they just won't be there anymore. And then the cards will start to appreciate too at that point. So
yeah, Isaac, a couple of people have asked and Doms was doing a great job of letting him know, but Ape of Wall Street was just recently asking who's with me tonight. And Ape, this is my buddy Isaac. He's one of the time and attention leaders, and he's known in Splinterlands as Urzagle. So you'll see if you're ever fighting against TNA 3, you'll see him there. But yeah, he's just coming to hang out tonight and talk Splinterlands. We've been talking about Chaos Legion. We've been talking about card prices, reward cards, soul bound reward cards, just several different things. But you know what, Isaac, I've had this up here because I saw it while we were talking and I was like struck by this battle. I want to feature it here. This is not me. It's Nuagainv, I guess, versus Kobold Jwala. And this is a very standard, like, I'd say this is a team I see a fair bet. Like the Oceanus in second, we get a Prismatic somewhere in there. This makes a lot of sense in that context. I don't always see that, but I kind of like that. And then you got 3 huge meat shields with the Merdali doing work because you got the armor and the heals. Quite a bit of damage output and very magic focus. So, but this to me seems like the absolute, I don't know, ideal circumstances for this new dragon. Sorry, a water summoner. Having cards like this, Sea Monster in the second position, which hit 5 damage per go, and have thorns and self heal. This is such an ideal candidate for a second tank in my mind. And then cards like Deep Lurker and Rooney. I didn't really think about Rooney, but taking advantage of that trample and the 2 hit points, man, turning these guys into real beasts. So this is a fun battle. I'm going to turn it on I watched it. Some of you who were here 20 minutes ago, you might have seen it in the background. We didn't talk about it, but just watch how many times the Rooney gets to trample. And that opportunity, not just the Rooney, but the Deep Lurker, and they're getting the Inspire from the River Helendale too, by the way. But there's a trample right there, and I think there might be 5 tramples in this rule set, or sorry, in this match.
Yeah, I was about to say this seems so good for them. To resurrect, then now the Lurker gets to take out. Oh, the Rooney's taking out the healer. Oh my goodness!
Another trample. Yeah. Opportunity, man. Opportunity with this summoner gives that trample ability, and they hit hard, and yeah. So I mean, it works here, but this is like what I just saw here. To me, strikes me as like one of the best ways to play it. Probably using 2 of the big beast opportunities, including there's another trample. So I mean, it's hitting for 4, and it can't miss the reflection shield, the true strike. Man, it's this card really, the Rooney works with the Possibilis in a big way.
I think he's underrated. Possibilis. My question is he better than Kelia? And that's my question. Is like, you're spending 2 more, you're getting trample, but tramples, it's all about the trample, right? Because reach, 1 speed, it's questionable. Pretend his price is, bids 10.9 right now.
Very fair, very reasonable.
He's not ridiculously expensive. He's the cheapest of those.
You're talking $100 for a max level legendary. So we talked, right? Because it's like 10 bucks, or I guess 11 times 11, 120, something like that. But I mean, we talked about that other white rare summoner was 90 or 80 or something, like Sloan, and then the other one with the +1 heart. So I mean, this is very cheap.
That's my goal before things boom. Like, my long-term goal before things boom is to have a max level of each Splinter. Because you're just looking, and there's so many options for good summoners. I mean, yes, you have to play a little bit differently with them, so you're probably going to be maxing some different cards that most other people aren't, which might be cost effective anyway. But you're not going for the same exact cards. But you get so many good summoners. Quicks. I mean, Quicks is a little bit more expensive, but Quicks, this guy, Wraith, so many of these good summoners you can get to max for around that 180, 90 to 150 range. I mean, that seems good to me. Good place to be.
A couple commenters in the chat saying Butters goes, talking about Chaos Legion packs, and he goes, problem will be, where does the demand come from after Chaos Legion sells out? So many people are holding packs, and for them, for a discount or even for free as rewards. And then Bakuani says, a bit optimistic considering even the packs. If the packs disappear, where are the new buyers coming from that will buy the packs, unless the game developer develops into an area where they can get new players in? Well, hopefully they are going to develop the game into areas through some of the paths that we already talked about at the beginning of the chat, maybe talking about things like um, um, eliminating some barriers for new players, even things like the season pass, which I think really would help new people get connected into this game and finding more fun through it, getting rewards that are non-financially, rewarding, but yet fun and rewarding. I play Apex Legends still daily, and I'm doing so to make sure I get my X number of points for my season pass. I do it every day. It's like I'm like Pavlov's dog. Like I'm over there like pressing the thing to get my little treat.
Well, so let's talk about it just for 1 second, right? So there is some demand for Chaos Legion. What that actual demand is, we don't know, right? Like I don't have a full set of max level Chaos. Do you? Right?
I mean, somewhere getting close, but no, not max.
Yeah. So the number of players, and they've said this before, right? The number of players, and what was it, 9,000, 10,000 could max Chaos if everything was combined. So that's not going to happen. We know the player base is at least somewhere around the 150 to 200K rate at the very minimum, right? So there will continue to be demand. Now, the issue is the supply of packs we have now is way greater than the current demand, and so it's taking a long time to bleed through. That's why we're burning 25,000. We're seeing 25,000 a day burn. So we're seeing that, right? And that makes sense. So yeah, the price of Chaos Legion packs will rise. When they sell out, we will start to see that rise because the supply is gone, and the only supply now comes from players. So you'll see that begin to rise. How long that will take till it's worth more than you paid for it? I'm thinking 6 months. It might, because I think there's a little bit of, well, what I have is rare now, and people will demand more. It's something we don't talk about a lot. Supply and the demand of the seller of how much they value their thing.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see some demand increase, and over time, people will want cards, and they'll open packs to get them. So just like for example, I paid $40 for 2 Untamed packs about an hour ago, and what I got 2 shield bearers. That's it.
Yeah.
But
I'm right there with you. There are there's some people will say, like, in fact, I've seen the numbers. It's something like probably 3 million packs will be held and unopened after we get there. And people will argue like that's just too many to be sitting around. And those people are all waiting for that price to go up. So, that's going to be a weight on holding the price down. I think that to some extent there's some merit to that argument, but I also think those people are people, they're not out there like a few, it's not like 5 or 10 people that hold all those packs. It's lots of people like me I have 1,400 packs from Chaos Legion. And every single day that goes by, I'm tempted to open these things every single day. And so I believe that at least most of the owners of those 3 million packs are of the kind and quality that are at least tempted to open their packs. And some of them will open their packs. I don't believe for a second that those 3 million will just be held like diamond hands until the prices reach, 10 or whatever. I suspect those people will slowly open some, slowly sell some. And when somebody buys 5 or 10 packs off the market, they're not usually accumulating for long-term storage. If you were doing that, you already bought them. I actually think there will be so here's what I'm saying. I think the point is right that the price of Chaos Legion will not spike immediately after it goes out of sale. But I also believe that the pressures around that 3 million being opened is actually pretty high. I think there's a pretty good probability that they get opened relatively rapidly after Chaos Legion ends. And I think they get open for 2 reasons. 1, people like me open them, or 2, people like me finally sell them for whether it's $2, $3. And that's not a huge profit, but it's a little profit. And I say, fine, like I'll just get rid of a few packs. And then those buyers who just want 10, 20 packs, they open them. So I actually think you'll be surprised how quickly those prices will appreciate, is where I'm going with that.
And what could really drive it, right, is these last few legendary summons. You got to realize these last, what do we got? 3, right? 3 left.
3, I'm not sure what you're saying. On the how many KS?
3 legendary summoners left to get.
Is it 4? Hang on a second.
No, there's 3. There's 1 at 12, 1 at 13, and 1 at 14.
Yeah.
There's not one for the sellout at 15. So these last 3 legendary summoners will be the rarest cards in the set. 1, because they're at the end and you had to buy more packs to get them. And 2, because we've been burning 25,000 packs a day. Those are 25,000 packs that don't get airdrops, right? Because we're burning so many, these cards at the end will be rare.
Yeah.
If they are good, which I'm guessing the team knows, save some of the really powerful wins for the end, right?
Oh, yeah.
If they're good and people need more copies, and now we're out of packs, the only place to get those cards is to go buy packs off the market, right?
Yeah.
And that's what will be some of the driving factor of, hey, just like I was opening those Untamed packs because I'd love to open a Yoden or a Kitty or something like that. You know, yes, it's not very likely, but people will be like, hey, I want to open these to try to get, you know, blah, blah, blah summoner. And that kind of driving force of, hey, I need more cards. Hey, I need to get this card leveled up. That'll be what drives the pack sales. And somebody's lying to you if they tell you the price is going to double the day the packs sell out.
Yeah.
But it will start a climb.
Yeah.
Card prices will go up. As card prices go up, value of opening the packs goes up. As value of opening the packs goes up, like Dwayne says, more people will open packs. Values of the pack price will go up because of the value of the cards in them going up. And as that continues to climb, you eventually end up something like, hey, what's a beta alpha pack sell for right now, right? I mean, there's not many of those, and those cards, you know. So I think it definitely will climb. It also, something that could really help it is if they wait 5-6 months before they put out another set. I think they're saying at least 3-4 months now, but that dead time when there's no packs to buy, that'll start eating up a lot of the market and a lot of the available stuff as well. So